I am unwell. I am literally, physically, mentally, and just like spiritually unwell right now. Bestie, my central nervous system is completely and utterly destroyed, shredded.
Oh boy, here we go. Take a breath, babe.
I cannot take a breath. I am sitting here in this chair right now, and literally all I can see when I close my eyes is a giant, insulated, latch-sealed cooler bobbing at the bottom of a luxury swimming pool.
I mean, it was a very nice pool. You have to admit, the tile work was gorgeous.
I do not care about the tile work. It opens, and literal dismembered human body parts come floating out into the pristine blue chlorine like a giant, billowing cloud of red blood. I am screaming.
It was definitely a lot for a Thursday night viewing experience.
A lot. This show has completely ruined water for me. I am never swimming again. I am taking dry sponge baths for the rest of my natural life. I am packing up my entire life and moving to a landlocked, arid desert where the only moisture is like a cactus.
Well, before you pack your bags for the desert, we have a job to do. Babes, welcome back. We love you, we see you, and happy Friday. We officially survived another grueling work week, which, let's be completely honest, deserves a standing ovation.
A ticker tape parade, honestly.
Literally the keys to the city. If you are listening to us right now, whether you are driving home, doing your dishes, or just lying face down on your rug, take a deep breath. You made it. We made it. The week is over.
Yes, we did. Snark Squad, I need you to grab whatever you are drinking right this second because we have massive frozen blackberry margaritas on deck tonight.
So good. They're perfectly frosty.
The blenders were absolutely whirring the second we walked through the door and threw our keys on the counter. The weekend has officially arrived. The salt rims are perfect, and we are toasting to you. Cheers, babe.
Cheers. And honestly, these margaritas are strictly medicinal at this point.
Oh, totally medicinal.
Because let me tell you, the workday was a psychological journey. And since we were both out here just trying to survive the deeply glamorous, occasionally terrifying world of dentistry, we have to kick things off with our highs and lows of the workday. Dentist edition.
Yes, the clinic trauma dump.
Do you want to start, or should I drop my clinical trauma on you first?
Oh, please, you absolutely have to go first. I need to know what fresh, unhinged hell your clinic brought to the table today.
Okay, so my high of the day. Honestly, it was so deeply entertaining that it made the entire afternoon absolutely fly by. I had a new patient come in.
Okay, setting the scene.
They are sitting in the chair, paper bib clipped on, totally prepped and ready to go. And out of nowhere, completely unprompted, they look me dead in the eye and drop the most elaborate, fully fleshed out conspiracy theory about fluoride I have ever heard in my entire professional life.
No, shut up.
I am dead serious.
What was it? Was it the classic vintage mind control one, or did they have, like, a new spin on it?
Oh, babe, it was so far beyond basic mind control. We are talking high-level sci-fi.
Wait, really?
They tried to convince me with total unwavering sincerity that the government is putting a specific, genetically modified heavy metal isotope into the municipal fluoride supply.
An isotope.
Yes, and the purpose of this isotope is to slowly, over the course of decades, magnetize your lower mandible, your jawbone.
Wait, why?
So that they can track your physical location via satellite using 6G cellular towers.
Oh my God, I am actually crying. Magnetized jawbones.
And they were dead serious. They brought laminated printouts with charts.
Laminated. That is dedication to the delusion.
I was literally just standing there holding a tiny little dental mirror, nodding along, absolutely captivated. I didn't even want to correct them. I just wanted to hear the lore. The world building was phenomenal.
You know, honestly, you have to give them points for creativity and commitment to the bit. That is so much better than the patients who just complain that flossing makes their gums bleed.
Exactly. It was like a free sci-fi audiobook. But okay, if that was the high, what was the low?
Oh no, it's never good.
The low, oh my God, my blood pressure is spiking just thinking about it. The suction tool.
Oh, Mr. Thirst.
Yes, the little plastic Mr. Thirsty straw that hooks over the lip, it broke. But it didn't just quietly stop working. It actively, maliciously rebelled against me.
What did it do?
It kept making this horrific, high-pitched, mechanical screeching noise like a dying pterodactyl, and then it would randomly reverse polarity.
No.
It spit stagnant water back out into the patient's mouth instead of sucking it in.
Stop. Not the reverse suction. That is the ultimate betrayal.
I was standing there, desperately trying to maintain a calm, soothing, highly professional demeanor while secretly fighting a possessed mechanical water demon. It was testing every single ounce of my sanity.
The betrayal of the trusted tools. There's nothing worse than when the equipment decides to unionize against you mid-procedure.
I wanted to rip it out of the wall and throw it into oncoming traffic. It was a complete disaster. But I survived through sheer willpower.
Barely survives by the sound of it.
Barely. What
Yeah.
about you? Give me your high and low. Balance out my trauma.
Okay, my high was actually so pure, so wholesome, that it almost cured my true crime paranoia for, like, 5 solid minutes.
Wow, a whole 5 minutes.
Right, I had this tiny little kid come in, maybe 4 or 5 years old, getting her first real cleaning. And I was wearing my new light blue scrubs. Right.
Oh, the fancy ones we ordered last week that actually make you look like a functioning adult with your life together, yes.
Exactly those. And this little girl looks at me, lets out this massive gasp, points her little finger and whispers to her mom, "She looks like a Disney princess."
Stop it right now. That is too cute.
Babes, I completely melted into a puddle on the linoleum floor. I was like, "Why, thank you, sweet angel. I am the princess of plaque, the benevolent queen of cavities."
You are officially the Cinderella of the dental clinic.
It was the cutest thing I have ever experienced. It completely made my entire week.
That is painfully adorable. But knowing you and knowing how the universe works, the low is going to completely counteract and destroy that sweetness.
You know, it always does. Okay, so my low triggered a complete and total heart-palpitating true crime spiral.
Oh, God.
I had this guy, last appointment of the day,
Yeah.
and the whole time, from the moment he walked into the lobby, he was just lingering, making intense, unblinking eye contact.
Hate that. I hate that so much.
And right as I'm finishing up, taking off my gloves, he leans in super close, looks directly at my mouth and says in this very slow, very weird whisper,
Don't do the voice. You're going to creep me out.
he goes, "You know, you have a really fascinating bite structure. You could do a lot of damage with those teeth."
Ew. No, absolutely not. Prison, jail immediately.
Right. My blood ran completely cold.
Straight to the maximum security wing.
The hairs on my arms stood up. I immediately, instinctively, mentally mapped out every single exit in the clinic. I grabbed a sharp metal Dental Explorer probe off the tray and just casually hit it behind my back.
You were ready to throw down.
I was standing there thinking, is this it? Is this the moment? Is this how I end up as the subject of a documentary? I was entirely convinced he had a soundproof, windowless van idling in the parking lot.
That is terrifying. What did you do?
I basically shoved him out the door, smiled through the terror, and locked the deadbolt the millisecond his foot cleared the threshold.
See, this is exactly why we need an emotional outlet, which brings us to our ultimate weekly stress reliever, the Thursday night rec league basketball game.
Oh my God, the rec league. The place where delusions of athletic grandeur are born and immediately crushed.
Can we just debate this for a second? Because we have our matching neon pink sweatbands, which are undeniably iconic.
Obviously iconic. We look incredible.
We do, but we need to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, are our jump shots actually improving, or do we just look really intimidating while violently missing the hoop?
Listen, the sweatbands do 90% of the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
I am firmly convinced that in any aspect of life, if you just dress like you know exactly what you're doing, people will assume you have skills.
Fake it till you make it, honestly.
But we seriously need to talk about that one guy on the opposing team. You know exactly who I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I absolutely know who you're talking about.
The guy with the heavy-duty hinged knee brace who treats a casual Thursday night rec center game like it is Game 7 of the NBA Finals and LeBron is watching.
Oh, you mean the guy who takes aggressive charges in a friendly community game? The one who literally screams at the ref?
Yes. The ref is a 16-year-old high school sophomore named Tyler, who's getting paid in community service hours and lukewarm pepperoni pizza. Leave Tyler alone.
He was screaming at a child about a traveling violation.
He is out there sweating profusely, breathing like a pug, setting aggressive illegal screens on me in the paint. I'm just trying to get some light cardio in so I don't feel guilty about my weekend, and I'm getting checked into the bleachers.
You were getting bodied out there.
I was loudly complaining to anyone who would listen. I was looking at him like, "Sir, there are no college scouts in the bleachers. The Lakers front office is not going to draft a 42-year-old accountant from this gym."
Although, speaking of the bleachers, I have to take this opportunity to expose you to the Snark Squad right now.
Oh no, here we go.
Because my absolute favorite moment of the entire game, maybe of my entire adult life, was in the third quarter.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
You were wide open under the basket. I threw you a perfect, crisp, absolute laser beam of a chest pass, and you completely utterly whiffed it.
It was very fast pass.
The ball bounced right past your head and slammed into the cinder block wall. And I need you to explain to the people exactly why you missed that pass.
I am not ashamed. I will stand in my truth. I am not ashamed to admit that there was a 6-month-old golden retriever puppy in the front row of the bleachers.
It was sitting on a teenager's lap.
It had its little paws up on the metal railing, and right as you passed the ball, it tilted its head at me. I was completely neutralized by pure, unadulterated joy.
The ball practically grazed your ear. You could have been concussed.
How on earth am I supposed to catch a basketball when there is a fluffy angel making direct eye contact with me? I am only human.
But honestly, the funniest part of the whole basketball experience is how we act when we leave that gym.
Oh, we are insufferable.
We walk out into the parking lot, double-fisting our insulated water bottles, high-fiving, completely convinced we are the second coming of professional athletes. We feel so superior, so dialed in.
And then the reality check hits. We wake up the next morning needing a literal aluminum walker.
My hamstrings are currently staging a protest.
I tried to roll out of bed this morning and my knees sounded like industrial bubble wrap popping. Every single joint hurt. Muscles that I didn't even know existed in the human body were screaming in agony.
Well, the muscle soreness might be legitimate, but it also might have to do with our heavily flawed post-game recovery routine.
Don't tell them.
Snark Squad, we have a massive confession to make. Our ultimate Friday night mistake actually started on Thursday night.
It was a moment of weakness.
Because immediately after pretending to be elite, health-conscious athletes, where did we go?
We went straight to the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory.
Straight there, do not pass go.
And do not judge us. We were in our sweaty, neon athletic gear, standing in front of those brightly lit glass display cases, like absolute feral gremlins looking at treasure.
It was a historic haul. We absolutely decimated that store's inventory.
We walked out of there carrying giant, baseball-sized caramel apples covered in crushed pecans.
Oh, those were so good.
Peanut butter cups that were literally the size of ceramic dinner plates. And a massive box of those dark chocolate sea salt truffles.
And I'm going to shady brag right now because I absolutely demolished those sea salt truffles before we even pulled out of the parking lot.
You inhaled them.
The salt, the melting dark chocolate, they didn't stand a chance. They've evaporated into the ether.
And I justified the entire binge. We were sitting in the car, and I looked you dead in the eye, totally serious, and said, listen, we played highly competitive basketball for a full hour.
Which was a generous description.
I definitely burned at least 1,000 calories running away from that intense guy with the knee brace.
Which I immediately and aggressively pushed back on. I was sitting there with chocolate on my face like, bestie, the metabolic math is not mathing.
It makes sense to me.
Standing completely still in the paint and staring longingly at a golden retriever does not burn 1,000 calories. We burned maybe 200 calories max, and we are currently inhaling 4,000 calories of refined sugar.
Whatever. I reject the science. Summer bodies are officially postponed until 2027.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. We are just aggressively embracing the cozy era a little early this year.
Babes, let's be real. We're never getting summer bodies anyway. But honestly, when you really think about it, we've got mountains of artisanal chocolate, frozen blackberry cocktails, good friends, and incredibly unhinged reality-level drama on television to analyze.
It is the absolute best deal.
That sounds like a pretty phenomenal deal to us.
It is peak existence. Now, enough about our chocolate-fueled, athletically delusional weekend plans.
Yeah.
Let's actually get into today's case.
Yes, final.
Because unlike us, who only make highly questionable decisions involving sugar and sports, somebody in this show made some truly epically, life-destroyingly terrible decisions this week.
And they didn't just make one bad decision, they made them systematically over and over and over again. We are officially diving into Season 1, Episode 8 of the show.
The episode title is Los tiempos de Dios son perfectos, which translates to God's timing is perfect.
And wow, when you unpack the layers of this episode, the horrific timing of every single event is truly the overarching theme.
Let's set the scene, because my jaw hit the floor in the first 5 minutes, and it never really recovered.
Set it for us.
We pick up exactly where we left off at the end of last week's chaotic cliffhanger. Tom and Natalie Bowden are sitting on the hardwood floor of their beautiful, expensive home, drinking literal juice boxes, looking so incredibly, infuriatingly smug.
The arrogance was radiating off the screen.
They're practically throwing a two-person parade, They are clinking their little foil juice boxes together because Max Caddy was just arrested for the drugs they hired someone to plant in his house.
Right. They're sitting there in this bubble of utter delusion, thinking they've won. They think they've outsmarted the master manipulator.
Which is hilarious.
But if we pull back and look at the actual architecture of their lives, it is crumbling. Let's not forget, their teenage son, Zach, is currently locked in a secure psychiatric facility, completely spiraling, totally convinced through his psychotic break that he is actually Max's dead son, Edgar.
Poor Zach. He is literally strapped to a bed.
The doctor notes tell us he's stabilizing, but then Zach just violently snaps and starts raging again. So the family unit is already fundamentally fractured. They have lost a child to madness, but Tom and Anna are just taking a victory lap in their living room over a temporary tactical win.
It is the pure, unfiltered hubris, the absolute staggering arrogance of wealthy people thinking they can just tidy up a massive existential mess by throwing money and a clumsy frame job at it.
They think they are invincible.
They think their tax bracket immunizes them from consequence. But the real chaos, the moment that had me pacing and screaming at my television, happens the very next morning.
Here we go. The cooler of doom.
Natalie wakes up. She's processing the trauma of the last few weeks. She decides to go for a nice, relaxing, therapeutic swim in their gorgeous backyard pool. She's swimming laps. It's quiet. The water is pristine. And then she stops, treads water, and looks down.
The visual storytelling and cinematography here are actually incredible. If you look at how the director frames this, the camera starts above the water-safe, bright suburban Persephone and then slowly sinks under the surface, plunging us into this muffled, distorted nightmare space.
Do not even try to intellectualize the cinematography with me right now. I was completely traumatized.
I'm just appreciating the art.
She sees this massive, industrial-sized cooler sitting flat at the bottom of the deep end. She dives down, she pops the heavy plastic latch open, and out comes this thick, viscous, churning cloud of red blood, and literal dismembered human body parts just start casually floating up toward her face in the bubbles. It's Ray, the private investigator, chopped into pieces like a macabre jigsaw puzzle. I screamed at the top of my lungs. I paused the TV. I got up. I walked around my living room in circles. I genuinely questioned my life choices and why I watched this genre.
You really were spiraling. I got like 6 texts in a row from you in all caps.
I am telling you, I would literally never, ever look at a body of water again. If that happened to me, I am moving to a landlocked desert biome and bathing with antibacterial wet wipes for the rest of eternity.
It is pure, unadulterated horror movie visceral shock. The show has been playing in the realm of psychological thriller all season, but here it pulls 0 punches and crosses firmly into gore.
It was so gross.
It transitions right from that horrifying image into that amazing photo-negative title sequence where the blood cloud overtakes the screen. But as much as I appreciate the shock value as an analytical viewer, we really have to pause and talk about the physical logistics for a second.
Oh, please do, because it makes no sense.
Because I am watching this deeply traumatic scene and I am laughing on my couch.
How on earth are you laughing? A good man is in pieces in a chlorinated pool.
I'm laughing at Max Caddy's absolute logic-defying teleportation skills. Think about the timeline here. Max has been bouncing around this show all season like Nightcrawler from the X-Men.
Literally teleporting.
How did this man, who we literally just saw get arrested and put in a police cruiser, manage to track down Ray, shoot him, systematically dismember a grown man's body, pack those heavy pieces into a massive insulated cooler, and then drag that sloshing 100-pound cooler across the street over a suburban privacy fence and sink it into the Bowden's pool without a single neighbor, ring camera, motion sensor light, or neighborhood dog noticing?
When you lay it out like that, it makes absolutely 0 sense. The physics of the situation are impossible.
It's relying entirely on the classic horror movie slasher trope. You know how in Halloween or Friday the 13th, the killer is always just slowly, menacingly walking behind the victim, but somehow they always magically catch up to the teenager who is full-on sprinting through the woods?
Yes. Michael Myers never runs.
That is exactly how they are writing Max Cady. The writers are making him bend the laws of space, time, and gravity just to maximize this family's suffering. He's no longer just a stalker. He's a supernatural entity.
He really is a supernatural entity of pure spite at this point. Okay, let's get back to the plot. So, Natalie is screaming bloody murder, and the cops rightfully arrive in full force.
And here is where the stupidity truly shines.
And here is where we get what I'm officially calling Tom's masterclass in unbelievable stupidity. Because we have to remember, right, this man is a lawyer. He went to law school. He passed the bar exam. He argues cases in front of judges.
Barely, apparently. The educational standards in this town must have plummeted.
Right. So the police are swarming the house. They're actively investigating a dismembered corpse sitting in a cooler on the pool deck. Detective Grayson Park comes inside and asks Tom very casually, almost conversationally, about his firearms.
Just a totally standard question for a murder investigation.
Hey, Tom, just dotting our I's and crossing our T's. Do you own any guns? Tom goes upstairs to his biometric safe. He opens it, he looks at his 9mm Glock, he checks the magazine, and realizes, to his absolute horror, that it's been fired recently and exactly 3 rounds are missing.
And let's ask the audience. What does a smart, innocent, legally trained professional do in this highly sensitive, high-stakes situation?
He immediately tells the police. He utilizes his legal knowledge to establish a timeline. He says, Detective Park, I need to report a break-in. Someone accessed my secure safe without my knowledge and fired my weapon. I am actively being framed for murder.
That would be the logical thing to do, yes.
But no. Does Tom do the logical legal thing? Of course not. What does Tom do? He hides the real gun, the very obvious murder weapon, in a drawer, and he marches downstairs and gives the cops a completely different, fully loaded gun.
I absolutely roasted him from my couch. I was yelling at the screen.
I was yelling too.
How is this man a practicing attorney? What he just did is the literal textbook definition of a felony. It is evidence tampering.
It's so dumb.
The cops aren't stupid. Detective Park knows exactly what he's doing. He already pulled the registration records. He knows Tom bought a specific 9mm Glock, and Tom hands him a different caliber weapon.
A completely different gun.
You are immediately, instantly making yourself the prime, undeniable suspect in a brutal homicide investigation.
It is the privilege. That is what makes me so angry about Tom's character. It is the wealthy, privileged delusion that they can just outsmart the police bureaucracy. Tom immediately jumps to evidence tampering without a second thought.
He doesn't even blink.
He doesn't even hesitate or agonize over the morality of it. His brain just goes, I'm smarter than these beat cops. I'll just swap the gun and deal with it later.
It proves that the Bowdens, despite being officers of the court, have always believed the rules just don't apply to them. They think they exist on a plane above the law they practice.
And it's not just the gun swapping. I've been screaming about this massive plot hole all season long.
Yes. All of these supposedly brilliant lawyers, Tom, Anna, their high-priced associates, somehow none of them know how to use the basic voice memo app on their iPhones. It is driving me absolutely insane.
It's literally right there on the home screen.
Max Cady is constantly, relentlessly threatening them. He threatens them in the middle of the street, in the sterile hallways of the hospital, in broad daylight at the park. Just press, record, slide your thumb up on the lock screen, and hit the big red button.
Yes, you have a highly advanced supercomputer with a high-definition microphone in your pocket at all times. Record the psycho.
Exactly. Florida is a two-party consent state for phone calls, but if you're in a public place where there's no reasonable expectation of privacy, you can record a conversation.
But no, instead of gathering basic, admissible evidence, they try to out-psycho the psycho. They try to play his game, and it backfires spectacularly every single time. Which perfectly brings us to the blackmail and the broadcast.
Oh, this was rough.
Because Tom and Anna's brilliant, highly illegal plan to plant drugs in Max's house, yeah, that completely and utterly blows up in their faces.
And before we get into the mechanics of how it blows up, we have to talk about the actor Ted Levine here, who plays Brandon, Anna's estranged father. He is absolutely incredible in this role.
He is terrifying.
He brings such a grimy, authentic menace to the screen. He's completely off the wagon, comically high. He looks like he hasn't showered in a week, and he's squatting in this depressing motel.
It was so depressing.
Anna goes to him in a panic to basically say, hey, the cops are looking into the drugs, the heat is on, you need to leave town immediately.
And Brandon, the man who she literally just paid to do this highly illegal, risky job, turns around, looks at his own flesh and blood and says, sure, I'll disappear for an additional $100,000.
Just casually dropping a 6-figure demand?
He extorts his own daughter. He blackmails her on the spot without blinking an eye. I was emotionally devastated watching this.
You were texting me sad emojis.
Because, as a true crime babe who loves deep diving into family dynamics and generational trauma, seeing a father sell out his daughter like that, it's chilling. It shows you exactly where Anna's inner darkness comes from. She grew up with this deeply transactional, ruthless, survival at all costs instinct because she was raised by a man who views his children as collateral.
You're sitting there devastated by the tragic family dynamics, but I was just cackling.
You have no heart.
I have a heart, but I was laughing so hard at how spectacularly the Bowdens' perfect plan exploded in real time. Because Anna, acting tough, rips him a new one, pays him the exorbitant payoff, and thinks the problem is neatly solved.
She thinks she bought his silence.
And what happens the very next day?
He goes on the local news with Max. And Max's sleazy lawyer.
It was incredible television.
Brandon sits right there, under the studio lights on local television, and exposes the entire frame-up scheme to the tri-state area. He looks into the camera and tells the whole city that his own daughter and her husband hired him to plant a massive amount of illegal drugs on this poor, supposedly innocent man, Max Candy.
It is a PR nightmare wrapped in a legal apocalypse. And if we look at it from a structural standpoint, it's brilliant writing. Because of this broadcast, the police now have a crystal clear motive for murder.
Yep, the puzzle pieces snap together.
Detective Park connects the dots logically, he thinks. Tom and Anna planted drugs to illegally frame Max. Ray, the private investigator, found out about this illegal plot. To keep Ray quiet and protect his career, Tom killed him, chopped him up, and dumped him in his own pool to make it look like a frame job.
It's actually a perfectly sound theory.
So Detective Park marches right up to the front door with a warrant and arrests Tom for the brutal murder of Ray.
Tom is handcuffed, read his rights, and shoved into the back of a squad car, and Max is just standing casually across the street, leaning against a tree, watching it happen with this smug, horrifying, knowing smile on his face.
Just eating it up.
The roles are completely 180-degree reversed from the beginning of the episode.
It's poetry. It's dark, twisted, inevitable poetry. Every single illegal shortcut the Bowdens took, every time they thought they were outsmarting the system, they just added another steel bar to the cage that Max is now gleefully locking them inside. They built their own prison.
Meanwhile, as the adults are completely ruining their lives, let's check in on the kids because they are not doing any better.
Not at all.
Natalie goes to visit her half-sister Neva in the state juvenile detention center. She goes there hoping to bond. She wants to have this profound, sisterly moment of clarity, like, hey, we've both been played. Max used both of us for his sick game. We are both victims of his intense manipulation. Let's team up and survive this.
And Neva is having absolutely none of it. She is a brick wall of hostility.
None of it. Neva completely blows her off through the plexiglass partition. She is so vicious, she leans in and calls Natalie a baby rat.
A baby rat?
Which, honestly, is a devastating, highly specific insult that would ruin my self-esteem for a month.
The sibling rivalry dynamic here is so intense and well acted. You have to realize they are both competing for the validation and approval of this monster who has positioned himself as a twisted father figure.
It's so messed up.
But I actually loved this scene because it was so incredibly satisfying when Natalie finally snapped back and told Neva off. She pointed out that Max used her for his own ends and instantly discarded her the moment she wasn't useful. Natalie finally woke up from the manipulation.
Yes. I was praising Natalie so hard from my couch in this moment. She finally truly realizes that Max is not this dark, misunderstood, romantic anti-hero. He is a violent, parasitic monster who ruins absolutely everything he touches. She finally takes off the rose-colored glasses. But while Natalie is having psychological breakthroughs in juvie, Noah and Anna are having a massive evidentiary breakthrough of their own. They managed to hack into Ray's iCloud account.
R.I.P. Ray. You were a good investigator. You truly didn't deserve the cooler.
He really didn't. He was just doing his job, trying to help. So they hack his cloud storage, and they find the final photos he took right before he was murdered. They find detailed photos of Crystal's remote houseboat down in North Carolina, but more importantly, they find the hidden surveillance photos that Crystal secretly took of Max.
And what's in those photos?
And one of those high-resolution photos is of Max and Anna aggressively kissing in the park.
The glorious, dramatic split-screen presentation of this reveal. The editors deserve an Emmy just for that transition.
It was so deeply dramatic. So Tom is sitting in a sterile jail cell, arrested for a gruesome murder he actually didn't commit. Anna goes to visit him, officially acting as his legal counsel. Which, by the way, how is there not a massive, glaring conflict of interest there?
I mean, we already established that Tom doesn't care about the law.
But can you represent your husband in a murder trial where you were deeply involved in the underlying motive?
The legal ethics in this universe do not exist. They are entirely non-existent. The State Bar Association must be on a permanent vacation.
Right, so Tom confronts her. He has seen the photo of the kiss. The illusion of their marriage is shattered. He basically asks her, point blank, looking her in the eyes, Is Natalie Max's daughter?
The big question.
He finally realizes the timeline. He realizes the massive, world-altering secret she's been hiding for 17 years. And Anna deflects. She pivots. She won't give him a straight, definitive answer.
Typical Anna.
So Tom, sitting in a jail cell in a cheap orange jumpsuit facing life in prison, looks at his wife and kicks her out.
Oof.
He fires her as his lawyer and freezes her out of his life completely.
And this right here is where the toxic, rotting marriage dynamic really shines for analysis, because we have to look at this objectively. Tom is furious, right? He feels betrayed.
Of course he does.
But let's look at Tom's rap sheet for the week. Tom just hired a drug addict to frame a man, hid a murder weapon from the police, and lied to detectives. He is absolutely no saint. His moral high ground is a swamp.
Thank you. Say louder. I will defend Anna's right to keep complex secrets from a hypocritical husband who is actively destroying their lives with his own arrogant stupidity.
Oh, come on.
Tom's ego is completely out of control. He truly thinks he's the moral, upstanding center of the family, but his hands are just as dirty, if not dirtier.
I am going to push back on that heavily, babe. I hear your defense of her, but Anna's lies are the literal root of this entire apocalyptic scenario. We cannot ignore cause and effect. If Anna had just been honest 17 years ago, if she had demanded a paternity test and faced the truth, none of this would be happening today. Her massive foundational deception is the rotting wood that Max is currently sledgehammering. She built their life on a lie.
It's complicated.
And the crushing weight of that guilt finally breaks her in the next scene.
It really does. Anna goes home. The massive, beautiful house is completely empty and silent. Tom is in jail. Zach is strapped to a bed in the psych ward. Natalie is spiraling out of control. Anna goes to the liquor cabinet and she pours herself a heavy glass of brown bourbon.
That was hard to watch.
She breaks 16 hard-fought years of sobriety in one gulp. It is so hard to watch. It is tragic. And Natalie catches her. Natalie walks into the kitchen, sees her mother drinking, and instead of yelling or acting like a petulant teenager, she just quietly sits down with her. And this leads to the ultimate, emotionally devastating mother-daughter trauma dump.
We finally get the definitive truth. The missing pieces of the puzzle from 17 years ago are finally laid out on the table.
Anna confesses absolutely everything. She tells Natalie that back then she was a severe, high-functioning alcoholic. She was engaged to Paul, but she was having frequent days-long memory blackouts. She was a complete disaster behind closed doors.
She was a mess.
She was acting as Max's public defender, and she went out for drinks with him to discuss the case. She tells Natalie, with tears in her eyes, that she honestly doesn't remember what happened that night. It is heavily, darkly implied that she was far too intoxicated to legally or morally consent to anything physical. It's horrific. It's a complete violation.
And when she got pregnant shortly after that missing night, she had absolutely no idea if the baby was Paul's or Max's.
Right. And she was utterly terrified. She knew, based on the evidence she had seen, that Max was highly likely guilty of brutally murdering his own wife and child. She couldn't bear the thought of being permanently tied to a monster or raising a child that shared his DNA.
Which makes sense on a human level.
So in a desperate bid to protect herself and her unborn baby, to permanently get rid of him, she buried him in court. She intentionally sabotaged his legal defense so he would go to prison.
Look, I know this is highly emotional for you, and it's a deeply, profoundly tragic situation for Anna as a survivor of assault. But if we bring in the analytical, objective perspective, Anna crossing that ultimate sacred ethical line as a defense attorney, intentionally burying her own client and sending him away for life is the original sin of this entire story.
But she was trying to survive.
It is the catalyst. It is what set this intricate 17-year revenge plot in motion. Max didn't just go to prison. He went to prison because the one person sworn to protect his rights set him up. From a legal standpoint, it is the ultimate betrayal of the system.
I know, strictly legally speaking, it's a disparable offense and a violation of the Constitution. But morally, human to human, I can't blame her. She was terrified for her life and her child.
It's definitely a gray area.
And I loved Natalie's reaction in this scene. Natalie, who has been so deeply angsty, awful, and rebellious to her mother all season long, finally softens. She looks at her mother and reassures her that what happened that night with Max, the assault while she was blacked out, wasn't her fault. It was a beautiful, heartbreaking, deeply necessary moment of human connection in the middle of all this chaos.
It was incredibly moving, but unfortunately, that beautiful moment of connection also acts as a direct catalyst for what is undeniably the dumbest, most reckless decision in the history of television.
Oh my God, yes.
Because Natalie hears this horrific story, truly realizes that Max is an evil, manipulative predator who destroyed her mother's life, and her teenage brain decides, I'm gonna go shoot him.
Yes. She literally grabs the gun out of the drawer. Natalie marches right over to Max's house. And let's set the physical scene here, okay?
Please do.
Max's house is currently an active crime scene. It is surrounded by marked police cars, bright yellow crime scene tape, uniformed officers, and multiple local news vans. There's a massive swarm of people, and Natalie just casually walks right through them.
I completely lost my mind. I was throwing handfuls of popcorn at the flat screen.
It's so absurd.
I was screaming, you just walked through a heavily fortified swarm of police officers holding a firearm to shoot a man in the stomach. Are the cops blind? Is she wearing an invisibility cloak? It requires a massive suspension of disbelief.
She slips inside unnoticed. She confronts Max in his living room. She points the loaded gun directly at him, and Max, being the absolute master psychological terrorist that he is, doesn't even flinch.
Not even a little bit.
He doesn't beg for his life. He steps forward directly into the barrel of the gun. He goads her. He uses psychological warfare to basically beg her to pull the trigger, knowing it will ruin her life forever. And she does. She shoots him right in the gut at point-blank range.
Which, by the way, is a totally survivable, highly treatable wound if you get immediate medical attention. He knew exactly what he was doing. He didn't want to die. He wanted to manipulate a minor into committing a violent felony on his behalf.
So the cops, who apparently finally noticed a deafening gunshot inside the crime scene they were supposed to be securing, rush in. They tackle her and drag Natalie out in handcuffs.
And here comes the iconic moment.
Anna hears the shot, comes running out of her house, completely frantic, and asks Natalie what happened. And Natalie, as she's being forcibly hauled into the back of a squad car, looks at her mother with absolute ice in her veins, doesn't shed a tear, and coldly replies, I missed.
You absolutely loved the theatrical drama of that line.
It is instantly iconic. I missed. Put it on a t-shirt. She has fully transformed into a messy, unhinged true crime antihero, and I am entirely here for her character arc.
It's a great cinematic line of dialogue, sure, but let's look at the horrific irony of the situation. Because of this incredibly rash, emotional decision, Natalie is now locked up in the exact same state juvenile detention facility as Neva,
Right.
the deeply unstable half-sister who literally just threatened to destroy her earlier in the episode. Natalie voluntarily trapped herself in a locked cage with a rabid animal who hates her. It is phenomenally stupid planning.
It's terrible planning, but it's great television. Which leads us directly to Hurricane Anna, because Anna is now the absolute last Bowden standing on the chessboard. Her husband is facing a murder trial in county jail. Her daughter is facing attempted murder charges in juvie. Her son is strapped down in a psychiatric ward.
The whole family is locked up.
Even Peanut Butter the cat is missing.
Yeah.
Where's the cat? Protect the cat at all costs.
Seriously, the cat is the only purely innocent party in this entire doomed town.
Anna sneaks into the secure wing of the hospital where Max is recovering from his gunshot wound. She uses her knowledge of the system to pretend to be his sister, Crystal, to bypass the guards and get into his room. And Max, lying in a hospital bed, delivers his ultimate defining villain monologue.
This is a crucial scene. This is where we get his true, unfiltered motive, the defining thesis statement of his entire 17-year revenge arc.
He looks at Anna, bleeding through his bandages, and says, "This is what I wanted. For you to feel this. Ripped apart, broken, caged, your children taken away.
Exactly.
Sauce for the goose." He wanted her to feel the exact specific pain he felt when he was locked in a concrete cage and lost access to his family. Even though, let's remind the audience, he brutally murdered his own family. The utter delusion to paint himself as the victim.
His narcissism is massive. It's a textbook dark triad personality trait. So Anna realizes that playing defense within the boundaries of the law is no longer a viable option. The system has failed her because she broke the system.
So she goes rogue.
She goes back to her empty house. She finds a heavy revolver. She packs a duffel bag. And she drives her SUV out of her driveway, heading straight toward the dark waters of the Cape Fear River to find Crystal, right as Tropical Storm Wesley is officially making landfall on the coast.
The rain is pouring in sheets, the wind is howling, the trees are bending. It is the ultimate chaotic, cinematic cliffhanger.
And since the Bowdens clearly desperately need our outside consultation because they are fundamentally incapable of making a smart, logical choice, let's break down the evidence ourselves. It is time for segment 1, Biggest theory.
Yes.
We both took notes, analyzed the themes, and brought our leading theories to the table. I'm going to start.
Let's hear it. Unpack it for me. Blow my mind.
My biggest overarching theory is what I'm officially calling the ultimate paternity twist.
Okay, I'm listening.
Look, this entire season, the core psychological dread has revolved around the terrifying possibility that Max Canney is Natalie's biological father. It's the entire reason Anna buried him in court. It's the reason Natalie feels this dark, unexplained pull toward his manipulative energy.
Right.
But I argue that after all this massive destruction, after the family unit is completely and irreversibly decimated, the show is going to hit us with a definitive DNA test in the finale that unequivocally proves Natalie actually is Paul's daughter.
Oh my God. My stomach just dropped.
Think about the tragic structural irony of that writing choice. It would mean that Anna triggered this entire apocalyptic 17-year revenge plot, shattered her professional ethics, ruined her legal career, and destroyed her husband and children over a completely unfounded hypothetical fear.
That is so dark.
Max ruined them, yes, but Anna essentially handed him the matches and the gasoline because she was too paralyzed by fear to take a simple, conclusive paternity test. It elevates the story from a thriller to a Shakespearean tragedy.
That is sickening. That is so deeply dark and emotionally upsetting, which means, knowing these writers, it is probably exactly what this show is going to do to us. But I am going to push back on you because I have a very different theory brewing. I am calling mine the Crystal connection.
Okay, lay it out. Let's debate it.
I theorize that Crystal, Max's incredibly creepy, silent sister who lives off the grid on the houseboat, isn't just a passive background character meant for atmosphere. I think Crystal is the true, overarching mastermind of this entire operation.
Crystal.
Yes. I think she has been quietly pulling Max's strings this entire time. Think about the evidence. She's the one taking the high-resolution surveillance photos. She's the one hiding out in the shadows, gathering intelligence. I think Crystal has her own twisted, deep-seated, obsessive vendetta against Anna for taking her brother away for 17 years, and she's using Max as a blunt, violent instrument to execute her plan.
I hear what you're saying, and it's an interesting angle, but I have to fundamentally disagree based on behavioral profiling. Max's ego is way too massive to let anyone else pull the strings or dictate his actions.
You don't think so?
Look at how he constantly gloats. He wants all the credit. He wants Anna to look at him and recognize him as the sole brilliant architect of her destruction. A textbook narcissist like Max wouldn't share the spotlight with his sister.
But wait. Counterpoint. Max is actively hallucinating. We literally saw him having intense, vivid visions of his dead wife and child in this episode.
That's true.
His brain is chemically and structurally fracturing. He is physically deteriorating from the gunshot and mentally breaking down from the stress of his own game. He might firmly believe he's in charge, but if his grip on objective reality is slipping that badly, that leaves a massive, exploitable opening for Crystal to be the real, lucid anchor of the operation. She's the one thinking clearly and tactically, while he's just acting on messy impulse and pure rage.
Okay, from a psychological standpoint, that's a very fair point. If his mental state is deteriorating into psychosis, Crystal might be the functional failsafe. We will definitely see who is right when Anna finally reaches that creepy houseboat in the storm.
Yeah, I'm so nervous for it.
All right, let's keep things moving. Segment 2, red flags everywhere. We need to dissect the biggest, most glaring, suspicious behaviors from this episode because, frankly, everyone in this town was acting incredibly shady.
Everyone. It's a town full of walking red flags.
Yeah.
But the biggest one, we have to circle back and completely tear into Brandon, Anna's dad.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the sheer audacity of this man. Your terrified daughter comes to you for help, fleeing a serial killer, and your immediate baseline instinct is to financially extort her for $100,000. And then, the literal second the cashier's check clears the bank, you go on local television and sell her out to the exact man trying to murder her family.
It's ruthless.
That is not just a red flag. That is a blood-soaked banner waving violently in hurricane-force winds.
It is deeply despicable behavior. It perfectly illustrates toxic family systems, but honestly, who stands out the absolute most to me in terms of sheer self-destructive, suspicious behavior?
Tom. Always Tom.
Yeah.
The man cannot get out of his own way.
Tom has incredibly shady, corrupt instincts. A normal, innocent citizen whose legally registered firearm has been stolen and fired does not immediately hide it from the police in a sock drawer.
Exactly.
Tom's immediate, reflexive jump to evidence tampering proves that his internal moral compass is completely irreparably busted. He didn't even pause for 5 seconds to consider telling the truth and letting the legal system sort it out. It's an involuntary reflex for him to lie, conceal, and cover up.
It's a reflex, exactly.
It shows that the Bowdens have always believed the rules don't apply to them. They are so thoroughly used to manipulating the system from the inside that they literally don't know how to exist within it as normal citizens.
It's so true. They are entirely their own worst enemies. But amidst all this suffocating darkness and moral decay, we have to desperately search for a shred of innocence. Who seems genuinely innocent in all of this? I am going to nominate Noah.
No.
She is just a dedicated, idealistic young lawyer trying to run a noble innocence project. She's actively grieving Ray, a man she clearly loved, and she is beating herself up for letting the wolf in the door. She got completely expertly played by a master manipulator, and now she's just trying to use her skills to clean up the horrifying mess. She is pure of heart.
I agree Noah's genuinely trying her best to right the ship, but my official nomination for the only truly innocent, blameless character in this entire series is Peanut Butter the cat.
Yes. Justice for Peanut Butter.
Seriously, from a pure logistical standpoint, the cat was suspiciously missing from this entire bloody episode. Last we saw, the cat was over at Max's creepy house. Max was arrested. Max was shot by Natalie. Max is currently strapped to a hospital bed. Who is feeding the cat? Where's the cat?
If anything happens to that beautiful, fluffy ragdoll cat, I am officially writing. I will write a strongly worded letter to the network. Protect the cat at all costs. The humans can fend for themselves.
Exactly. Priorities. Okay, let's transition to segment 3. What would we do? Because as we've exhaustively established, the Bowdens make terrible, catastrophic choices at every juncture. How would you have handled the key high-stress moments in this case? Let's start with the most traumatizing one. The pool.
Oh, God. Don't make me visualize it again. Listen to me very carefully. If I was swimming my peaceful morning laps, getting my heart rate up, and I found a heavy, latch-sealed industrial cooler sitting at the bottom of the deep end, first of all, I wouldn't open it.
You wouldn't even peek.
What is fundamentally wrong with Natalie's survival instincts? Why on earth would you open a heavy mystery box at the bottom of a body of water when a known violent serial killer lives directly across the street?
Curiosity killed the cat and permanently traumatized the teenager.
It's insane. I would swim to the surface faster than an Olympic gold medalist. I would scramble out of the pool, scraping my knees on the concrete. I would scream until my lungs completely gave out, my vocal cords snapped. I would legitimately vomit in the decorative bushes.
I can literally picture you doing this.
I would call 911, and while the dispatchers were on the line and the sirens were on their way, I would be frantically packing a single duffel bag. I would abandon the mortgage. I would immediately move to a different, totally landlocked state. Nebraska, Iowa, somewhere flat and dry.
Iowa's nice this time of year.
I would never look at a body of water again. Bathtubs, gone, ripped out of the wall. Showers, sponge baths only. I am out. I would change my name and start over as a corn farmer.
A completely reasonable, measured reaction to finding human remains. For me, what I would have done differently is so incredibly simple, yet these characters refuse to do it. I've said it before, I will say it again until I am blue in the face.
The phone.
I would have used my smartphone. If a highly intelligent, manipulative serial killer is standing in the middle of the street, openly threatening my life, and loudly confessing to his master plan of destroying my family, I am taking my phone out of my pocket, and I am pressing record on my voice memos.
It's not that hard.
It is 2026, people. We have high-definition, broadcast-quality audio recording devices in our pockets 24 hours a day. Stop trying to have a dramatic, cinematic stare-down and start gathering admissible, hard evidence for the prosecutor.
It's so deeply frustrating as a viewer. They literally have the technological tools to end this nightmare in 3 seconds.
Right.
And they just stubbornly refuse to use them because they want to have an ego-driven monologue battle in the street.
Exactly. It's ego over survival.
Yeah.
And what is the one critical mistake we would absolutely never, ever make under any circumstances?
We actually both agreed on this immediately before we hit record tonight. We would never, ever, in a million years, confront a known armed killer while completely surrounded by local news vans, floodlights, and a highly armed police barricade. What Natalie did was just mind-numbing on a tactical level.
It was an act of pure, unadulterated emotional impulse with zero logical forethought or situational awareness. If I am going to commit a serious felony, which for the legal record of this recording, I'm absolutely not, but if I were forced to, I am at least checking my immediate surroundings first.
At the very least.
I am looking left, I am looking right, I am checking for witnesses, I am not casually walking past 3 Channel 5 news cameras and a police squad car with its red and blue lights actively flashing to shoot a man in his living room.
You're not going to commit attempted murder in front of a live broadcast studio audience. It's just phenomenally bad planning.
Terrible planning. A complete failure of logistics.
Which brings us to our final highly anticipated segment, segment 4. Next week's predictions. We have exactly 2 episodes left in the season. The pressure cooker is whistling. Things are about to explode. What is your biggest, boldest prediction for next week?
My biggest prediction is that the show is abandoning the slow burn thriller genre and going full blockbuster action movie. I predict a massive, highly cinematic shootout on Crystal's remote houseboat.
Ooh, action movie. Think about the set pieces we have aligning. We have Tropical Storm Wesley actively bearing down on the coast. We have Anna driving directly into the eye of the storm with a loaded revolver. Crystal is isolated on a boat. The water is going to be violently churning. The rain is going sideways. Visibility is 0.
That sounds expensive to film.
I think it is going to beautifully mirror the climax of the original movies, but with a modern feminist twist. With Anna taking the active, violent lead role to protect her family instead of Tom, it's going to be wet, it's going to be incredibly bloody, and it's going to be visually epic.
I can definitely see that happening. The impending storm is a perfect, classic narrative set piece to heighten the tension. My prediction is a little more character-focused and psychological. I am officially naming Noah as the most highly suspicious person heading into the 2-part finale.
No, but we literally just spent 5 minutes defending her and saying she was the only innocent one.
I know, but structurally completely innocent people in these types of narratives can be pushed too far. She is carrying an immense, crushing amount of survivor's guilt over Ray's gruesome death. She fundamentally feels responsible for opening the door and bringing Max into their lives through the Innocence Project.
True, she is struggling with that.
I think that deep guilt is going to curdle and ferment into pure, unbridled rage, and she is going to go completely rogue. I think Noah is going to abandon her legal ethics, take matters into her own hands to get violent justice for Ray, and in doing so, she is probably going to wildly, unpredictably mess up whatever fragile, tactical plan Anna has put together. She's going to be the narrative wild card that ruins everything.
Oh, I absolutely love a rogue lawyer storyline.
Yeah.
That is so juicy and dramatic. Okay, my biggest unanswered question that I need resolved. I'm zeroing in on the missing memories.
The blackouts.
The trauma-induced amnesia. Anna's alcohol-fueled blackouts from 17 years ago. Zach's current memory loss and identity dissociation in the psych ward. Will Anna ever truly, clearly remember the specific details of what happened that night with Max? Will the writers give us a definitive flashback that shows us the objective truth of the assault?
I wonder.
Or is the lingering ambiguity the whole point of the narrative? Is the show going to intentionally leave us guessing as a form of meta-psychological torture for the audience to make us feel as helpless as Anna?
Knowing the cruel, brilliant minds behind this show, the ambiguity itself is the weapon. They want us to sit in the discomfort. But I promised you one completely chaotic, off-the-wall theory to end the segment, and I'm going to deliver it right now.
Give it to me. My nervous system is already shot.
Yeah.
I'm ready to spiral.
Let's talk about Zach. Zach is currently strapped down in a highly secure, drug-induced psychiatric hold, right? He is having severe manic episodes. He genuinely delusionally thinks he is Max's deceased son, Edgar. Here is my chaotic, melodramatic theory. Zach is going to snap out of it, fake compliance, and break out of the mental hospital. He is going to violently steal a car from a nurse. He is going to drive straight into the chaotic eye of Tropical Storm Wesley, track down Max at the houseboat, and somehow, against all physical odds, Zach is going to be the one who delivers the final, fatal blow. The vulnerable son who Max ruthlessly, psychologically manipulated will be the one who ends him. Poetic justice.
Stop. That is completely unhinged. A heavily medicated teenage boy breaking out of a locked psych ward, hot-wiring a car in the middle of a Category 3 hurricane, and successfully fighting a seasoned serial killer in hand-to-hand combat.
It is TV. The concept of basic logic left the building 3 episodes ago. We are operating on pure, uncut melodrama and narrative irony now.
You know what? When you frame it like that, you're absolutely right. I wouldn't put it past these writers for a second. If a 100-pound cooler full of human body parts can magically teleport into a suburban pool without leaving a drop of blood on the deck,
Yeah.
a heavily sedated teenager can certainly steal a Hyundai Elantra in a hurricane. I am fully buying into this theory.
We will definitely see how the chaos all shakes out next week. But Snark Squad, now we absolutely need to hear from you. We have some very important, highly pressing questions for you to deliberate.
Yes, first of all, to lighten the mood, What is your absolute favorite Friday night treat? When you finally survive the grueling work week, what are you immediately buying to reward yourself? Is it a massive sugary haul from the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory like us? Or are you a savory babe? Are you ordering a giant greasy pizza and extra garlic knots? Let us know in the comments so we can judge your dietary coping mechanisms.
Second, weigh in on the heavy analytical theories. Do you guys think my ultimate paternity twist theory is right? Will the DNA test prove Natalie is Paul's daughter, making this entire tragedy pointless? Or is the crystal connection real? Is the silent sister the true, overarching mastermind pulling the strings from the shadows?
And seriously, the most important existential question of the night. After watching this deeply flawed family make catastrophic decision after catastrophic decision, would you rather sit on the couch and solve crimes with us armed with frozen margaritas and basic logic, or stay as far away from the Bowdens and their drama as humanly possible? Because I am choosing the safety of the margaritas every single time.
I am choosing the arid desert, landlocked, zero pools, zero coolers.
Thank you guys so incredibly much for spending your valuable Friday night with us. We love spiraling, analyzing, and drinking with you. Please remember to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. Leave us a glowing 5-star review. It truly helps us appease the algorithm gods so much. And share this breakdown with another true crime-loving babe who desperately needs to scream about the psychology of this show.
We will be back right here next week to break down every single detail of the penultimate episode. Until then,
Stay safe, stay spooky, and we'll see you on the Snark side.